My heart is really beating right now.
That's a good thing.
It is. It is. Okay. I'd like to say thank you to the Hicks and to you, Abraham. This is stuff I always knew deep down, and I was blessed enough to recognize it when it was in my face, thank goodness.
Perfectly stated.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to talk about menopause. Okay. I had to kind of let this thought go for a while because I wanted to talk to you about this. And then I thought, if I think about it, I'm going to be out of the vortex. I better just get out from thinking about it, and hopefully you would choose me. And again, I'm thankful for that. At times, there's different times in a woman's life, as you would know, that these emotions just come from God knows where, literally. And
oh, no, wait.
Oh.
Because while we do agree that there is a biological evolution that takes place within everyone, not just women.
That's true.
We will not agree that your emotions are ever outside of your control, because we will not agree that you do not have the ability to focus. And in the same way, have you ever had and we are going to let you speak here, but we just want to lay a little bit of a basis here. Have you ever noticed that if you are on the verge of some physical discomfort, that your mental attitude tips it into more discomfort or less discomfort?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
so all that's happening is that during this time, while there is a heightened physical sensitivity, so that your emotions are more noted, still you have control of the way you feel.
Okay.
In the same way that we said to a woman who was suffering mightily from arthritis in her hips. Now that's sort of a menopause that keeps on giving. In other words, it was chronic and painful. And we said to her, if you can separate the physical pain from the emotional response, in other words, you can have pain and be afraid, or you can have pain and be hopeful. And the vibrational difference between fear and hope is a huge vibrational difference. Hope is nearly in the vortex. And when you're in the vortex, it doesn't matter what stage of your biological life you're in. When you're in the vortex, you're thriving, you see.
Yes.
Just don't argue for limitations. This is an overused, overrated, long exaggerated arguing for one's limitations that females would do well to let loose of.
I kind of thought it was some sort of mass hysteria, because you hear as you're growing up this, that, and the other, and my experience has been a lot less because I made a decision a long time ago. I'm different. That's not going to happen like that. And I have been able to I get these like weird emotional, I think of my poor dead dog or something. I get all weepy and all this. And I go, stop it. Pull it together here, and then try to think of something happy, a trip or something.
Well, we wouldn't. Here's the thing. Here's what we really think is at the basis of what you're talking about. Okay. You and everyone else are so supposed to be in the vortex. And the larger part of you so is. So when, for whatever reason, you focus yourself out of it, so something feels off, a little or a lot off, it feels terrible to you. It feels to you like something's really, really wrong. And because at many levels of your being, you recognize that something's really, really wrong, then you set out to validate it, to explain it, to sort of make the wrongness of it be justified with more facts. And that's what people do in a lot of different ways. And there's a big stream of thought consciousness that has sort of settled there. But it doesn't serve you. In other words, we would not, if we were standing in your physical shoes and we recognized we were out of the vortex, we would not spend one moment trying to figure out why we're out of the vortex. We would put our undivided attention upon figuring out how to get back in.
Into the vortex. Yes.
Because there's no gain in figuring it out. It's his fault. It's her fault. It's a biological fault. It's a flaw in female anatomy. It's an economic mistake by the government. In other words, on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And every minute you spend trying to explain, and we want to go back so that you really, really hear it. The reason that you think you need to explain is because in your heart of hearts you can feel how off it is. It's so off that I'm not in the vortex that I need to spend a lifetime explaining what it's like.
Yeah.
Or you could just get in the vortex.
I see. As far as I know we have so much control. This brain of ours is such a wonderful gift. I know I'll think, I haven't had a hot flash in a while. And then as soon as I think that, I get one. So I'm trying to be happy about that fact, but then it seems to I just need to not think about it whatsoever.
Or relax into it, accept the biology of your body. Say, like the woman who has arthritis, and like the woman whose lover has just gone someplace else, I've got two choices. I can be experiencing this physical discomfort and be miserable emotionally about it, or I can be experiencing this physical discomfort and find a way of feeling better about it. In other words, because you can't snap your fingers in that moment of that experience and make it just go away. And what it will show you the power of the direction of your thought.
What I've been doing is I think, this is actually a good thing. I'm burning calories with all this heat. I'm serious. That's what I've been using as a tool, because that's...
Well, you'd be better off to not think about it at all, because every subject's two subjects. What is not wanted on one end and what is wanted on the other. So in the midst of an awareness of what you don't want, trying to turn it into something that you do want just keeps the end of the stick that you don't want more active. You're much better off to just distract yourself with some other subject. Now, we know, people have said to us, Abraham, it's not like I'm thinking these thoughts, it's like these thoughts are thinking me. And we know that these physical sensations that come over you, you don't recognize any thought relevance to when they come and when they don't come. But it is our promise to you there is thought relevance. It is our promise to you that at any time there is discomfort, even in the midst of the natural biology called menopause, anytime you feel discomfort, you are in the midst of an out of the vortex thought every single time. Begin to notice that. Okay. Women want to claim to be more sensitive, and this is part of the process that makes them more sensitive. Use it to your advantage. But here, consider this. You'll like this.
Okay.
When Esther first began receiving us, she liked the idea of wisdom available to them. And in the very early stages, she thought, like many people would, that, oh good, now I have someone to guide me away from danger. And it took her quite a while to understand we were calling her toward what she wants, not guiding her away from what she doesn't want. Seems like a subtle difference, but it's a very, very big difference. So then, as Esther began to play with us longer and realized that we were calling her toward who she really is and what she really wants, not trying to guide her away from it. But then the thought comes, when you're thinking in terms of directing your thought, that can you feel the difference between making a plan to avoid something unwanted and making a plan in order to experience something fully wanted? There are a lot of people who are still really in the stance of guardedness, where they're trying to protect themselves from unwanted things. And this conversation about being in the vortex is an entirely different subject altogether. So once you come into the rhythm of who you really are, you'll begin to notice that everything about your experience, the people in traffic, even the way your own physical body responds to you, everything is directed by the vibration of your being and the thoughts you think. There is no moment in time. Let's just make it as loud and clear as we can. There is no moment in time when you are consciously awake that you are not feeling a precise indication of the mix of vibration between the larger part of you, that non-physical part of you, and the thought you're having in this moment. Every moment that you are consciously awake, that indicator is there. So if you've got some resistance going on and you don't know it, don't worry, it will get bigger. And if you still don't do something about it and bring yourself into alignment, don't worry, it will get bigger. So what happens is people commonly don't work to get into alignment. They don't take a subject and align it. They just avoid it, or they just ignore it. It just squirts out in another way and in another way and in another way until people come to factual conclusions because they've taken the statistics of the evidence that surrounds them and they express things like, this is just the way it is for women. And we say, it's not just the way it is for women, it's just the way it is for some women, but it does not need to be that way. In other words, you have the option. You get to choose. If a one-celled organism in its awareness of experience can ask for an improved experience, we think a woman should be able to do that too. But how many times would you like it to be different and then you just accept it that this is the way that it is? And we say, so future generations have to come forth. And the new generations that are coming forth are having whole different experiences. All kinds of things are changing for them, you see. And we have to tell you, generations before you found so much to fuss and worry about, had different experiences too. So you get to choose everything about your experience. And if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would accept and tolerate nothing that was not pleasing to us. But we wouldn't try to wrestle it to the ground either, because all that does is hold you in the vibration of it. Just accept that it can be different for you. And then don't talk about it with all of those who don't want it to be different for you, or who will convince you that it's just in your imagination and it's not really different for you, you see. It doesn't take very much for a thought to be implanted. It doesn't take much for, if you have, sometimes there's a vibration active within you that you're not really aware of, but because of law of attraction, it brings more to it. And as it brings more to it, then it becomes more evident. And as it becomes more, as it becomes more evident, then you don't realize that there was a starting point that it would have been much easier for you to release it. Well, this is not one of these subjects. This is a subject that already has gained a great deal of momentum. And to break loose from a thought or a belief, a cultural belief, a societal belief, to break loose from a belief that has gained so much momentum takes some concentration. And in our view, it takes stepping back and looking at it from broader view. So if you will look at it from an energy standpoint rather than from a biological standpoint, if you'll look at it from an emotional standpoint rather than from a physical standpoint, you'll get your thoughts around this and you will have an easy experience.
Excellent. I actually think I've been real fortunate compared to, girl chat, what my friends talk about. My mother, of course, that's a big one. And I think I've had an easy thing of it, but I've been very, very blessed that things have gone as smooth as they have. It's an annoyance when something isn't not perfect, but just...
Well, from this conversation, there are two things that we sincerely desire for you to let go of.
Okay.
One is the discomfort of menopause, and the other is girl chat.
Okay.
Good time for a segment of refresh.
Thank you.